So ready to go? Okay. My name is Laura Hunsberger. I'm the Executive Director with Cornell Cooperative Extension of Allegheny County. And this is our fifth and final collaborative presentation with Push Green on solar energy. So I'm super excited to be able to be hosting this with you, and I'm glad to see all of these bright and shining faces on such a nice night out. So if you would please mute your microphones. If you want to change your name on your video to indicate where you're from, that would be great. And if you have any questions, just type them into the either the Facebook chat or the chat box here on Zoom, and we will address those as we get to the end. So I will now pass this over to Natalie to introduce her team and the other speakers. And thank you very much.
Hello, good evening, everyone. My name is Natalie Rodriguez. I am the program manager for Push Green. And thank you everyone for joining us tonight for our last workshop, primarily on solar. Beautiful day, sun shining outside, so it's a perfect day for a little chat about that. And I'd like to introduce Jay and Lou. If you guys want to just introduce yourself.
Sure, I'll go next. My name is Jason Posner. I'm a community energy advisor as well with Push Green. I've been with Push Green for almost 5 years, covering the 5 counties for all the programs we have to offer with NYSERDA and the Solar for All. And a lot of good things come out of that. And I'm excited today on such a sunny day for the solar guys coming in, Colin and Benjamin, to tell us what good programs and basically how everything works today. So thank you.
Hi, everyone. Pardon my bandwidth is low, so I might not be camming up for the occasion, but my name's Lou DeJesus, Community Energy Advisor with Push Green. I've been with Push Green since 2013, somehow Facebook tells me. And I'm really excited because solar is so much more accessible than it was back then. And it's a great opportunity. So welcome to everybody. Glad to meet you all.
Perfect. And if our 2 presenters, Colin, if you may, introduce yourself.
Yeah, hi, my name is Colin O'Keefe. I work with Solar by CIR. CIR is a Buffalo-based company. We've been around since 1976, and we've done about 780 solar arrays on residential homes in the area. So we've got a lot of experience under our belts, and we've done a lot. So I'm happy to be able to be here and kind of explain some of the ins and outs to y'all. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you. We're excited to have you here. And Ben, if you don't mind introducing yourself.
Hello, my name is Benjamin Ingalls. I'm a proud Push Buffalo alumnus. I used to work at Push, and I am a recent hire at C&R Housing, which is a NYSERDA certified independent contractor. We work with a few different NYSERDA programs, especially the Empower program. So that involves doing a lot of weatherization work for people around the city of Buffalo. And additionally, we help some of our customers sign up for community solar programs. So that's something I'm going to be talking a little bit about today. And hello, everyone. Nice to meet you.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Excited to have you on as well. So without further ado, please, I'll have Colin hit us off or start us off. And then right after Ben, you could just start right after him. Thank you.
Okay. So I'm gonna explain a few things about how solar works, the basics of it, some of the tax credits that people can get back. That really enables most residential homes can get over 50% of it paid for from NYSERDA and New York State. So I'm going to share my screen here, and first is just a very basic. This is how solar works. Solar panels collect the energy from the sun and turn it into DC power. That gets sent to an inverter, which changes it to AC power, which is what your home uses. And then you use that in your home. Any of those 700 plus systems out there that we've installed right now, the majority of their home is being powered by solar. And earlier in the day, when the sun is really bright and a lot of times people aren't using all that they are producing, anything that's extra gets sent back out. It goes to your neighborhood, goes to anybody around you, but you are credited for that. So that later on in the evening, when the sun goes down, you are going to use your credits rather than buying electricity. You've built it up. Same idea over the summer, you'll build up a bunch of credits, and in the winter time, you'll still be producing in the winter, still be producing electricity and offsetting that. But because of the shorter days and snowfall and that kind of thing, you use those credits that have been built up all year in the summertime. I'm gonna switch my screen. Sorry, give me just one moment. Okay, I won't go through all of this. There's really quite a bit of information. If anybody is interested, you can go to solarbycir.com. And there's some other pretty good websites. There's a few of us in the area. I would say one thing, if anybody is considering going solar, I would highly recommend using, of course, I will say use my company, but use somebody local that will be here and will be around for a long time to help you and ensure that if you ever have an issue, you generally get a 25-year warranty with solar. So that's one thing we pride ourselves on, that we service many systems that companies have come into the area, sold some solar panels, and then left the area, or because we're so busy in the summer and not so busy in the wintertime. Some businesses tend to go out of business in the wintertime. So there's us and there's a few other pretty good solar installers. I would highly recommend use somebody local. So that's, and if you'd like to, we have a thing here that will, you can click here and take a little quiz. It'll tell you, these are all the things it will do for you: lower your carbon emissions, lower your electricity, or in most cases, we eliminate the electricity bill so that you'll only have your interconnection fee, which is somewhere between around $15 a month. In general, also with the loans that are available, you will end up paying, if you're paying back your loan and you're paying your electricity bill, you would be paying less while you're paying back your loan than you would be for your just your regular electric bill had you done nothing. And then, of course, once you've paid off that loan, then you own your system. So you're not, you would eliminate that bill of your life. It increases your home's value, gain energy independence. I thought about sharing this video, but I won't. If anybody is interested, you can come to solarbycir.com. We've got really a lot of information. This grid tied section here is what I was speaking about. When you go solar, you're so connected to the grid, and it is essentially acting like a big battery for you. A lot of people ask me if batteries are included, and the answer is no. You don't need batteries. Some people do batteries, but they tend to be a pretty expensive option. At this point, they're coming down, but at this point, they're fairly expensive. So we just use the grid as a big battery. These credits, those are the credits I was speaking about. You build those up. And then at the end of the year, with National Grid, at the end of the year, if you have made more than you have used, they will send you a check for that extra money. With NYSEG, they will continue to roll those credits over so that you can use those later the next year. You get whatever it may be, have a big party or something. And I had explained, we have the solar panels are the first component. The second component are the inverters that change the DC power to AC power. there's a few different types of them. I don't think I don't need to get too technical here. But another important thing is your monitoring system. We will have a monitor. You will get a monitoring system, and I'll show you one example of that. Anybody who has their own solar will also get a page that looks something like this. So you'll be able to see exactly how well your panels are working. And you can look at the last 7 days, the last 30 days. And if you see a big problem, if you see this come down and it's not really working so well, or it tends to be lagging a bit, you call us, and you do have like I said, you have a 25-year warranty, which is pretty substantial. And our company and most of the others around here, we find very good. We only like to install quality equipment. We're not going to install kind of things that aren't going to last, that we don't believe in. We believe that we tie our names to the products that we help people install. And so Panasonic is a big one. They were being made in Buffalo for a while, which was a really nice thing, but no longer. So, but they're still a very good panel. We have, some American made panels. We have a lot of different panels. We will provide for the people who are interested in this. We'll provide you with whatever we think fits you the best. And of course, you can tell us, hey, no, I would rather this than that. There's a lot of different options. But this is here's an example of monitoring. Here's another example of monitoring. This is actually someone we work with, their place. And you can see that you can tell that each panel is working pretty well. This one's working a little bit better, but every once in a while we'll come on here and we'll see one of these that is it's the wrong color. It's a darker color. And so that allows you to really know how well your panels are working, which is important. Sorry. So the last little aspect, or the last thing I would like to share, and you know what, I've got to stop sharing the screen for a minute to get to it, is just about there are some pretty substantial tax credits, and NYSERDA, which is New York State Energy Research Development Authority, they will pay for a really pretty substantial portion of this. And bear with me just one moment, and I will find that. Well, while I'm finding it, I can start to explain. If for the cost of your system, there are tax credits that will pay for, that's the way they pay you back. They're in tax credits. So a tax credit means as long as you've paid taxes, they will return that money to you dollar for dollar. And the amount that it is New York State will give you a tax credit of 25% of the cost of the system, up to $5,000. And then in addition to that, the federal government will also give you a tax credit for 26% of the cost of the system with no upper limit. So there's 51% of it potentially paid for. Most systems on medium-sized houses, that pays for the full 51% of it. And then there's a third portion, which is NYSERDA, New York State Energy Research Development Authority. So sorry, I'm just trying to find that little graph that I've got. New York State Energy Research Development Authority will pay for 35 cents per watt, which comes out to 12% of the cost. And they pay that directly. And if you are in a lower income bracket also, that can double. So they will pay up to an extra 24% of the cost of the system. So it's really, with all three of those together, it's really a pretty substantial pretty substantial amount that will be paid for. And if you ever want one of the, preferably us, but whoever it may be, to come out and take a look at your home and at your site, we can explain in more detail and say, hey, here's exactly what you would pay for this. Here's exactly what your return on investment would be. And here's exactly the equipment that we would use for you, because every home is really different. So for some reason, I'm having a hard time finding that one slide, but so that's about what I have to say for the solar. We have pretty big tax credits and incentives that will help you pay for things. There are also, we've done some work with Push Green and Push Buffalo also with we do some Solarize campaigns, and that's when a town gets together and they say, hey, the town will decide which solar organization we would like to come and be our promoted installer. And Solar by CIR has won the last 3 that since I've been at the company. We've been the one that has been selected, and we've worked with Push to try and help spread the word, and that just helps. The community will help us with advertising and getting customers to us, and we can offer a lower price because we don't have to do that. So anyway, thanks so much. And if anybody is considering solar, I do have my email is right there. We can help. We can help you in any way, and happy to have a chat with you and explain any questions you might have, or explain anything that we can to you. Okay, so thanks so much.
Before we move on to Ben, there is one question that I thought was relevant to your presentation. Do you happen to know exactly what the lower income bracket looks like for assistance?
You know what? If you don't mind, give me a minute or two, and I will.
Okay, so we'll get back to you
I
at
don't
the
have
end.
that off the top of my head, but yeah.
Great, thanks.
So
Perfect.
So I guess I'll jump in now, or no?
Yeah, go right ahead. While Colin is looking that up, what we'll do is right after Ben is done, we could do like a Q&A, and if you find that, that'd be perfect to share with the group then. All right, Ben,
Cool.
you're up.
All right, I'll pull my presentation up real quick. Okay, here we go. So I will be talking about community solar and what that is, and how it kind of exists as an alternative to what Colin was just describing. If solar is still something that you want to have access to, but for whatever reason, installing a solar panel system on your own property doesn't seem feasible. Maybe you rent, maybe it's just not an economically viable option. Community solar is sort of a less expensive and maybe slightly more accessible version of utilizing solar power. So basically, I have here that community solar is a distributed energy source that connects to the existing energy grid. And fundamentally what that means is that there are a series of solar farms, as they're sometimes called, fields filled with solar panels that are operated by community solar companies, and that are connected to the electrical grid that we currently use in Western New York, that is owned and operated by National Grid. So these, series of solar panel fields will create electricity and pump power through the grid, and we can access that power by signing up with one of these companies. A lot of the times there are no upfront costs for becoming a subscriber with a community solar company. However, I have seen the word minimal thrown around in a few places, so I think that that's just kind of something where, there are different companies around, so you just have to make sure that you're paying close attention to the contract that you're looking at specifically. And some of the benefits are just that it can bring down the cost that you're paying every month for electricity, and you're using energy that is created with these solar panels. So in New York State, a lot of our electricity is produced by burning natural gas. And so by circumventing that system and using one of these community solar providers, you are able to lower your carbon footprint. And on top of that, you can help to, bring green energy jobs to the local economy. As if there's increased demand for things like these community solar fields, then there will be, more jobs for people that are interested in building them, and that's always a good thing. On top of that, there's usually not too huge of a commitment when you sign these contracts. There are not super often big fees for getting out of them. Again, that's on a case-by-case basis, so I would look into that. And like I said before, it's just an easy option if installing panels on your own property is not feasible. Yeah, so let's move forward. And so we can talk a little bit about how it works. So again, the solar electricity is produced at solar farms owned by community solar operators, and that electricity is pumped into the grid, and it can then be used by really anyone in the grid, but it is the people who have contracts with those community solar operators who are getting the credits for the power. So say you're an individual who signs up with a community solar operator, you can basically gain access to a small portion of the power that is produced in a field. Oftentimes they will ask you, how much energy you produce in a year, in a month. Maybe you show them your electricity bills, and they will, set aside a certain amount of electricity that they're producing each month for you specifically. And then that basically comes to you as a credit on your electricity bill. So again, National Grid is our local energy provider. And in this situation, if I was, had a contract with a community energy operator, I would get a discount on my energy bill based on how much electricity was produced in that field and kind of like set aside for me. And I can show you what a bill will look like too. Yeah, this is kind of that process shown in the diagram. So say one of the panels produces around 700 units of energy. Oftentimes it's kilowatt hours, but just for the sake of the demonstration, we can just say units. But you would, and your home used 1,000 units in any given month, you would get a credit of 700 units that would be representative of the units that were produced by the community solar operation. And then that credit would show up as a discount on your bill, and you would only owe the remaining 300 units that you used that month. Yeah, and we can look more closely at a bill too, and I can give you an idea of what that would look like on an individual basis. So we don't really have to look at this entire bill, but if you can zoom in on the delivery services right above the red text on the left side, you can see that this person was being charged $81.71 for the delivery of their electricity, on top of a basic service charge of $17. And with their community net metering adjustment, which is the adjustment that they receive in the form of credits from their community solar provider, they are getting a discount of about $90 on the delivery side of things. And then on the supply side of things, the discount is about $77. So all said and done, the two of those prices together is about $167, $168 that is being taken off of their total electricity bill. And that is still a number that they're going to be paying for. They're paying the community energy provider, the community solar provider, for that power, but they're paying for it at a discounted rate. So I can show you what that looks like as well. A lot of the time when you sign up for community solar, you will receive two sort of invoices, two bills. You get one from National Grid that shows, what I was showing just a moment ago. It shows you this. It shows you the discount that you're getting, the credit that you're getting from your solar provider. And then you'll also get an invoice from whoever you choose to be your solar provider. And this is where you end up paying for most of your electricity because, like I said, they're crediting National Grid, they're crediting your account at National Grid. But so you end up paying the community solar provider for the electricity. However, because of the fact that these are subsidized programs and these companies are getting money from the federal government, they will often provide you with around a 10% discount on the amount that you would be paying. So again, it was about $167 that was taken off of the National Grid bill, and you're paying for that here, but you get a 10% discount. So your total down at the bottom is $154. So you're saving around $17 a month just by signing up for this program. And on top of that, the power that you're using is produced in a green and more sustainable way. So those are kind of the two major benefits for the program, and that's essentially what it would look like for the average consumer. So again, like I said, there are a lot of community solar providers, and you have the option of choosing which one you would like to work with. NYSERDA has a tool that you can use on their website that allows you to look at the solar providers that operate within National Grid's network, and you can kind of flip through those. This is the list here. When you go on the National Grid, on the NYSERDA tool and type in, that you are a National Grid customer, this is the list of community solar providers that comes up, and you can kind of look at each of these companies' websites and figure out which of their operations looks most attractive to you, which has the best terms in your opinion, and decide who to work with from there. Arcadia, that second one up there, is one of the closer ones. If you look just to the east of Buffalo, between Buffalo and Rochester, that orange circle there represents an Arcadia operation, and the one south of Buffalo is a Source Power Company operation. So those are the two providers that are closest to the city of Buffalo. And this is the address that you would access if you wanted to use that tool. So it's pretty simple. It's nyserda.ny.gov/find-community-solar. So if you type that in, you'd be able to access NYSERDA's page that shows those community solar providers and some other helpful forms and documents that can kind of provide some more information on the benefits of community solar and how the process would work. And again, when you're looking at these, I think it's just important to make sure that you look into the details of each individual contract. And another thing that I wanted to mention is another NYSERDA program, one that we work with more often, is the Empower program and the Assisted Home Performance with Energy Star programs. I want to bring those up just because we're having a conversation about government subsidized programs that offer energy saving solutions. And these programs are programs that I work with every day. And it's basically just a way for, if you make less than a certain amount of money, if you're in a low income bracket in New York State, you can sign up through NYSERDA, and they will put you in touch with a NYSERDA certified contractor, such as CNR Housing, the company that I work for. And we will come to your home and do an energy audit and figure out what kinds of weatherization improvements can be made to the structure in order to make it more comfortable, more energy efficient, safer. And a lot of times those sorts of improvements will include things like insulating the walls, insulating the attic, doing air sealing around the windows to make sure that drafts aren't getting in and cold air isn't escaping in the summertime or heat in the winter. We can also replace high consumption appliances like refrigerators. We can also do hot water heaters and furnaces. Furnaces we can do at reduced rates. Hot water heaters we can replace for free. And again, all of this stuff is free and subsidized by the state. And so it's good for people to know about these programs. And I think that if you're eligible, you should definitely look into it because it's a great way to just make your home more efficient and make things more comfortable where you live. Again, CNR Housing is the name of the company. That number there is our office number. My name is Benjamin Ingalls. I am an energy auditor for the group. And if you wanted to email me any questions, my contact information is right there.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Ben. And that's a good correlation to getting an energy audit, especially through Empower New York, which is a free program. And we always suggest before getting, any renewable technology in your home to getting an audit done in your home to make sure that, you're doing everything possible to button it up, and you're not going to put like a solar array that's going to power more than you need. So making sure that all your heating systems are all working properly and sized properly. And believe it or not, when you insulate your home, that's definitely another thing that could help with keeping the energy low as well. So, and Empower is a free program. So we always, lift that up. If you income qualify, we want you to, reap the benefits. Do we have any questions at this time? Or Colin, go right ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, can I just say one thing? Another nice thing about community solar, that it's changed in the last, I believe it was in the last month, but oftentimes you can also get that instead of having two separate bills that you have to pay, NYSEG and National Grid have both agreed to put it on one bill, so that the bill, the bill coming from that other company, essentially you're community solar for me. I have community solar. It's something I've recommended to all of my friends and family. It's easy to get into, generally to get out of it. With the one that I know, which is the Ampion that Ben mentioned, that are in our area, and there are more coming to our area. He's right in read the contract, but theirs was, you've got to give them a 6 months notice to not be with them anymore. Essentially just gives them time to have somebody else fill that spot. But there's generally, for community solar, there's very the only drawback was the two bills, really, and now that doesn't exist I believe that doesn't exist anymore. They've agreed to make it not exist very shortly, if not already. So it's kind of a no-brainer. Everybody should do it. And no, that's all. The other thing is, somebody had asked about that NYSERDA lower income bracket, and it's actually for a single person, it's $43,500. That's your annual income, so it's not incredibly low. And then for a family of 4 is $80,000, 80,300. So those will, on our end of things, I don't know if that's a NYSERDA number, so that may apply to other things. I can just say that speaks for the solar, making that 12% jump up to 24%.
And I believe that's across the board with NYSERDA as well. But if anybody is interested and want to know if you fall along that income bracket, you could always reach out to Push Green, and one of the community energy advisors will get back to you and let you know, what the income qualifications is. Now, with that as well, if you qualify for that that incentive for New York State solar, you also qualify for Empower New York. So while you're at it, you might as well just, get all the benefits that you can for free. So I did have a question about the community solar. You may have said it before, but is there an upfront cost for signing up? No? Awesome. Okay.
It really seems like there isn't. I've seen on a few different websites people use the word minimal upfront cost, but then I've also clicked on a lot of those local providers, and everyone that I looked at has a no fee sign up. So it seems like a pretty easy thing to jump into. Sometimes, as Colin mentioned, there can be a wait to start receiving the benefits, but other than that, I think you just kind of sign up and start using community solar power.
Yeah, that was going to be my next question. Is there a wait list for any of these community solars? Because I know through NYSERDA, when they first started this program, it just became something that it was a hot commodity. It's free. Of course, you want to reap the benefits of having credits on your bill. So, and then there happened to be, a large wait list. So would it depend on the solar provider service for
Yeah, I
that?
think that weight usually depends on the capacity of the individual provider that you're looking at. So, I mean, all of this power obviously has to come from somewhere, and a lot of these providers only have so many solar panels that they're working with. Many of them are expanding their operations. But if they have, as many people signed up as they already have infrastructure for, then you're probably going to end up waiting for service. But it's, like I said, there's about a dozen local providers that National Grid works with. So you can shop around and you might be able to find something that you could jump right into.
I'll add to that just our company alone has installed 3 of these that will be on in the next, I'm not sure exactly what their timeline is, but 1 to 6 months. And we are not the only solar installer doing these. There are a lot of them that have gone up, and for sometimes it's bureaucratic reasons they can't really be switched on. They're sitting there making power, and it's just getting thrown away, kind of. But there's room there. There might be a wait until they actually flip the power station on. As Ben said, there may be some that still have some room that are already on. I know for mine, I'm still waiting, but I just did it about a month ago.
Perfect. And this may be not a question that you could ask, but if there is a wait, you think they'll obviously give folks a heads up, like there's a 1 month to 10 months wait, you'll receive. Okay. All right.
I
Anyone
have
else
a question for Colin. So down here in Allegheny County, believe it or not, there are some areas that still don't get electricity. So if somebody's looking to get solar and they aren't able to be hooked up to be able to sell it back, I mean, I remember from back in the day, there were like big storage batteries and things. Does that still exist, or what's the
Sure.
setup now?
Sure, there are absolutely batteries. There's Tesla wall. There's a whole bunch of different battery options. Batteries tend to be fairly expensive, quite honestly. But you can do just a battery hookup, and yes. The part of the trickiness of it is that you need to have enough batteries that will last you in the dead of winter, from one sunlight to the next. That's the hard part. It's not so much, if it's days like this, to carry you overnight, easy, fairly cheap, pretty simple. The more, we do have some, I believe we're doing one in Allegheny right now that has a large battery backup. They do tend to be pretty costly for 8 days worth of battery backup power. But it depends. It also depends that one home will drastically differ to another home. If hey, it's the middle of winter, so we're not gonna turn on all the TVs and heat up the hot tub. It's a really individualistic kind of thing. The other issue though is if you are not connecting to the grid with this, those New York State incentives don't come into play. You can still get 26% from the federal government, but the 22% from New York, the 25% from New York and that NYSERDA money won't come into play.
Very interesting. Okay. We just bought a place that's off the grid and we're trying to determine, is it worth the effort to get electric there? And it's a lot of research.
One solution that people will do in that case would be to, have a solar array, have a battery or two, and have a
Mhm.
generator.
Yeah,
You can have a smaller generator that will feed your batteries.
Mhm.
Ideally you want to be as green as possible. The generator is not really that,
Yes.
but that would be one solution.
Is the technology for solar, and I'm not even sure how to word it, but solar roof tiles, has that been invented yet, or is that just still pie in the sky?
Yeah, no, they are they exist and they're being produced here in Buffalo.
Okay.
There's a lot of them. They work. There's a couple issues with them. One is that Tesla does not have a staff here that is doing installations. And the reason for that, I shouldn't even say. I can't really speak to I can just say they're not really doing installations. They are not quite as efficient as if you have the same amount of space with a solar panel and a bunch of solar shingles. The solar panel is going to be much more efficient. And so fitting it on a southern facing roof in Buffalo sometimes doesn't work. That's all.
Cool. Very cool. Thank you.
So Colin,
Mhm.
CIR Solar, you guys have been installing community solar producing operations. Is that right? Is that what you said?
That's right.
So how big are some of those things? Just to give me an idea. I haven't seen one in person. I'm curious.
What did you say? How big are they?
Yeah, like number of solar panels, a number of
Honestly, it's not
megawatts
in my
produced.
department. I don't really do too much with those community solar. I mean, we have we have a 4 megawatt one on right off of Route 5, and then we put in another 4 megawatt system right next to it. So really it's an 8 megawatt system. We have a few 1 megawatt systems around that are generally more for businesses. We've done all sorts of different sizes. I think that somebody's looking at doing a 10 megawatt system currently.
Cool.
They get pretty big.
Neat. Just wondering. Thank you.
Yeah. If you're driving on Route 5 and you look to your right, you can see them. And if you're driving on Grand Island, we've got a pretty, it's not a huge one, but a good size system right on Grand Island that you can, it's kind of nice because you drive by, you can see it. It's on my way to work, so I get to look at it. It's kind of cool.
Awesome.
There's a lot of solar going up right now. Our guys are turning down jobs because they're too busy. I mean, not too many, but there's a lot happening right now.
There is a question in the chat. There was one about signing up for community solar and what happens if I move. And Ben answered that it depends on the provider. Sometimes if you're able to move within the energy grid and maintain your account with your CS provider, but if you move out of the service area, you'd likely have to cancel your account. So the next question is that, and Natalie, I must say, I kind of resent this question, even mentioning the W word, when we've had some cold temperatures in June, but she wanted to know that since our winters are longer in Western New York, does that impact generating solar power? And that, I'd say that goes for both the rooftop as well as the community grid type. So we'll defer to Colin first and then Ben.
The answer to that is absolutely. If there's snow on panels or there's no sunshine, it's not gonna, it will have an impact. However, it's kind of a big misconception that we are not a great space for solar. Buffalo tends to have really, as we're looking at today and really in this last week, we have a lot of sunny days. And because of that crediting, the net metering that allows you to build up a whole lot of credits in the summertime and use them in the winter, whenever Solar by CIR or any other company around here gives you a quote for solar, they're taking that into account. We're essentially giving you a system that will make the same amount of power that you are going to use, right? And we look at the last 30 years worth of weather data, so we're pretty right on. We know how much, depending on which way it's facing. Is it facing south, east, west? If anybody tries to put a north facing panel on your roof, run away. But depending on how they're facing and what town you are in, we also look at any trees that are around the home. And we give a pretty accurate description of exactly how much power will be produced by your system. So that is already taken into account when you're looking at it. And it's a good, I mean, if you've got a good site for solar, it's generally a really good investment. You know, you pay for your system well before you're way before your warranty is out. And if you don't have a good site, then the community is a really good. The community, they work in different ways. The ones that we've been involved with, they do the same thing. They build up a whole bunch of credits in the summertime, and then they're selling those credits off. They're not only sending your electricity straight to your house. They're building credits. They're selling you the credits at a cheaper rate than the electric company would sell them to. So I hope that answers the question.
Yeah, I think that was a pretty encompassing answer. I don't think I have too much to add, other than yes, I mean, regionally the winter again will reduce the electricity production in these solar fields, so that would also reduce the amount of credits that you're gaining in the wintertime. Yeah, a lot of people tend to use slightly less electricity in the wintertime, depending on what kind of heating system they have, though. I'm not sure. I guess that would be, again, on a case-by-case basis, how that would totally affect your individual billing system. But yeah, definitely less electricity then.
Yeah, there's two models. One is that they will give you a certain panels that essentially dedicated to you. You get whatever they make. The other model is they build up a bunch of credits and they sell you those credits. So.
Perfect. That answers my question. Does anybody else have any other questions? Yeah. Going once, going twice. All right. You know, if do you guys have anything else to add? Maybe something, you know, just to let folks know, you know, about even what I did want to ask is if someone calls for like to get maybe an estimate or to see if their house is viable, is that a free call, or is there, you know, is there a fee attached to that at all?
That is an absolutely free call for Solar by CIR. We're happy to explain anything to you. I believe it or not, I convince sometimes people will have they really want to get solar, but they don't have a good site. Believe it or not, at least once a week, I talk people out of going solar. So, you know, my job is to get you information, you know, and if it's a benefit for you, then great, we can help you. And if it's not, then you know that it's not.
I appreciate that, because, you know, I know we have a lot of folks that are like really want to do something, and some contractors, you know, steer them into doing something that is not right for them and their home. So that's a really good good thing that you do. And so with that being said, I want to thank both of you for being on and, you know, giving us all this knowledge. And I want to thank Laura and Cornell Cooperative for being here and hosting us. And for anyone that is here joining us, please share this video. This concludes our virtual tour. And if you have, you know, any interest on, you know, our past workshops, they are posted on our website and on our Facebook page. So if you know anyone that is interested in going, you know, energy efficient and renewable energy, and, you know, they're interested in any of these programs, we have plenty of workshops with great information. And you could also reach out to any of your community energy advisors here at Push Green at pushgreen@pushbuffalo.org. Yeah, and we'll be happy to steer you into the, right programs that are available. The free program that Ben was talking about with Empower New York, and the community solar. And if you're interested in going solar, we'll also connect you with Colin at Solar by CIR. Thank you again for joining us, and please share and share the knowledge that we're trying to share with you all. I appreciate everybody being here tonight. Have a good evening.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks,
Great, bye-bye.
everybody. Been a great tour.